Welcome to this OfficeSuite HD Meeting instructional video. Topics covered are shown here: advanced settings, custom backgrounds, and some advanced functionality of the application that are used during meetings, such as sharing a whiteboard, polls, breakout rooms, plus a few more. Additional basic HD meeting topics are covered in a video separate from this one. Some settings for HD meeting were covered in the basics instructional video, so let's take a look at a few advanced settings you might want to configure. From the HD meeting desktop app, you'll click this drop-down and then choose settings from the list. A few of these different settings have some advanced options. If you click on the video and then click on the advanced button at the bottom, you can see your options. You can choose to turn off the use of denoise, which is software-based noise removal that improves video quality. You can also choose to turn off hardware acceleration for these particular items. Finally, you can change these configurations to auto or another option via the drop-downs. If we navigate to audio from the list, and then once again click the advanced button, you have a few drop-down options for signal processing and echo cancellation. Finally, if you click on Share Screen from the left, and then click that advanced button, you can make changes here if you want to limit your screen share to a certain frames per second. Many of these settings are helpful for troubleshooting. If you click on a particular question mark, sometimes there is a suggestion on how to configure these options if you or your participants are experiencing issues relating to screen sharing. Next, let's take a look at the background and effects settings. Here, you have the ability to customize the background of your video in HD meeting. On the Virtual Backgrounds tab, the system will default to none. So when your video is turned on, exactly what your camera is capturing will be shown to participants. If you want your face visible but your background blurred out, you would click the blur option. But you also have the ability to upload images or videos to be used as your background. To upload a video or image, click the plus sign and then choose what you want to upload from the list. Then find where the image or video is saved on your computer, click the option, and then click Open. Your uploads will show in this section, and you can click on the one that you currently want utilized. If your image contains letters or words and they look backwards per this example or this example, you would come down to the bottom and uncheck the Mirror My Video box to correct it. Now the words will show correct on your background. Now the camera will only pick up your face and the virtual background will be shown behind you. Now let's use this drop-down to go into your profile to look at some other advanced settings and functionality. Once you have logged into the web version of HD Meeting, click Settings from the menu on the left. First, let's take a look at waiting rooms. If you want your participants to be placed into a waiting room when they join your HD meeting, you will need to make sure that this toggle is showing blue, which means it's turned on. This means no one can join before the host, and the host needs to manually admit them to the meeting. We will look at how you do that in a minute, but there are some options and customizations related to waiting rooms. From here, if you click the Edit Options button, you will be presented this pop-up. At the top, you can dictate if everyone joining your meeting will be placed in a waiting room, or if you just want specific users to be placed in the waiting room. Under that, you can choose to have the participants listed by the order they joined or by alphabetical order. Then at the bottom, you have some options related to co-hosts and if you want your participants moved to the waiting room if connection is lost. You can also customize what your waiting room looks like to your participants. You would click this Customize Waiting Room button, and you will see that the application will default to show this basic screen where you can change the text shown. If you click the button for Logo and Description, you have the ability to upload a logo or a picture, and you can also enter a description that will be shown underneath it. Here I have uploaded a logo and then I would type the description in the box provided. Finally, you can upload a video to be shown instead of a static image if you prefer. Make sure that you click the Save button at the bottom once you have customized your waiting room. Now let's take a look at how to manage your waiting room during a live HD meeting. Once you have started your meeting, you'll want to click on the Participants button at the bottom. We can now see that someone is already waiting in our waiting room. As the host, you need to hover over their name and click the Admit button, or you can also rename them or remove them from the HD meeting. If you have more than one participant, you will see an Admit All button, so you don't have to manually admit each individual person. So we will hover over this name, click Admit, and then they will be moved from the waiting room to our meeting. If you are ready to start your meeting and no longer need the waiting room, click these 3 dots at the bottom of your screen and uncheck the Enable Waiting Room. Now you have disabled the waiting room, and anyone who joins your meeting will automatically be placed into the meeting. But be aware that unchecking it only turns it off for this meeting. You will need to go back into your settings and turn the toggle off if you don't want all of your meetings to have a waiting room. Now let's take a look at breakout rooms in HD Meeting. This great feature allows you to create private rooms with as many or as few participants as you desire. As the host, you have full control over the building and managing of the breakout rooms. First, you have to make sure the breakout room functionality is turned on via the web version of HD Meeting. You would once again click on Settings and then click on In Meeting Advanced from the submenu. You will want to make sure this toggle is turned on and showing as blue, and then you can pick from these options related to breakout rooms. Click the first box if you want to assign participants to a breakout room when first scheduling the meeting. The second box you will most likely want checked so you are able to send messages to your participants. And then you would want to click this last box if you want full visibility of the activities occurring in the breakout rooms. Now let's take a look at how to build and manage your breakout rooms live in HD Meeting. Once you have HD Meeting running and you want to launch your breakout rooms, just click the breakout room icon at the bottom of the screen. When you're creating your rooms, you have 3 options. You can have HD Meeting assign participants to a room automatically. You can manually assign participants to a room. Or the last option is you can allow your participants to choose their own room. If you know, for example, that you want all of your participants to be broken into 3 separate rooms, you could increase your room count here and then just let the application decide which room to place each person in. But if you want to assign the rooms yourself, you would choose Assign Manually and then click Create. You will see each of your rooms and you will click the Assign button to be offered a list of all of your available participants. You would choose which person you want in each room, and it will take away the ones that have already been assigned to a room. From here, you can also rename the room. You can delete the room if you don't actually need it, or if you end up needing more rooms, you could click Add a Room. The Options button gives you some opportunity to customize how you want your meeting rooms handled. You would check this box if you want them to be able to return to the main session at any time, or you can set a timer if you want your breakout rooms to automatically close after a certain amount of minutes. When you close your breakout rooms, your attendees will be provided a timer before they are shut down permanently. Here's where you can choose how long you want that timer to run for. When you are ready to open the rooms, click the Open All Rooms button. Your participants will then receive a notification on their end inviting them to join their room. You will also then be able to see who has or hasn't joined, and as the host, you can click the blue Join button to join any of the breakout rooms that you want. Once your attendees have joined all of their breakout rooms, you have the ability to broadcast a message to all the rooms by clicking this button and then type your message in the box. Then you would click the Broadcast button. Your participants will all receive that message on their end. When you're ready to close your breakout rooms, you click the Close All Rooms button. You will confirm that you want them closed, and it will remind you of the timer that you had selected. Click Close All Rooms. The timer will start counting down, and when that is done, all of the breakout rooms will close and everyone will be brought back to the main room. Please note that if you want to share your screen and make it visible in your breakout rooms, you must click the Share Screen icon while your breakout rooms are open. Choose the screen or application that you want to show, and then check this box to make sure that what you are sharing is visible in the breakout rooms. Polls are a great way to engage and interact with your meeting participants. Once again, you need to ensure the polls functionality is turned on via the web version of HD Meeting. Once logged in, you would click on Settings from the menu on the left, and then In Meeting Basic from the submenu. Then you would scroll down just a little bit to locate the Meeting Polls/Quizzes section. You want to make sure this toggle is turned on and showing as blue. Then you have some options related to polls and quizzes. You'll want to check the first box if you want to be able to create advanced polls and quizzes that utilize different types of questions, images, and set answers. Click the second box if you want an alternative host to have the ability to add or edit polls and quizzes. An alternative host needs to be assigned when scheduling your meeting in advance. Typically, polls are created in advance, but they can be created during your meeting as well. Let's look at how to create a poll in advance for your personal meeting room. We'd scroll back up to find the menu on the left, and then we would click Meetings from the list. Then you would click the Personal Room tab, and then within that, you would click the Polls/Quizzes sub-tab. This will show you a list of your polls and quizzes, but since our example doesn't have any, we will click the Create button to create our poll. Since we did allow for advanced polls and quizzes, we will have these two options. For this instructional video, we are just going to cover polls, which allows you to display real-time results during your meeting. Once you click Next, you will be presented a template to complete. You want to click where it says Untitled Poll in order to give your poll a title. Then you can start to create your poll questions. We will click into the first one to see our options. Each poll can be configured to allow for a single choice or multiple choices. Then, where it says Untitled Question is where you want to type your question in that field, and then you would use the fields underneath it to type out your different choices for answers. If you need to offer more than 2 answers, click the Add Choice button. Then type that choice into the field. Then you can click Save if you are done, or if you want to add another question to your poll, click the Add Question button. Then, just like we did before, we can choose between single choice or multiple choice, and we will type our question in this field. Then we would type our choices underneath. Now we have our poll built with 2 questions, one being a single choice answer and one allowing for multiple choice. You can add more questions, or you can click Save. If you want your participants to be able to answer these poll questions anonymously, click these 3 dots and check the corresponding box. You will now see the poll you just created in the list, and from this menu, you can either edit your poll, or duplicate it, or remove it. Now let's look at how to launch your poll during your HD meeting. When you are ready, click the Polls icon at the bottom. Since we already created our poll for our personal meeting room, you will see the questions in this pop-up. When you are ready, you would click the Launch button. Your participants will now see the questions appear on their screen, and they will be required to answer and submit them. As the host, you will see the answers coming in, and it will provide you a percentage of responses for each question. Then it will tell you at the top how many of your participants have completed the poll. Make sure you scroll down in this box to see the full information. When you are ready to close the poll, click the End Poll button. Then you have the option to share the results with your participants, or you can click these 3 dots for further options. When you are done, you can click the X to close out of the poll. If you are not using your personal meeting room, or if you haven't created the poll in advance, nothing will show up in this box and you would need to click the plus create button. This will take you to the same location on the web version of HD Meeting where we created our other poll, so it's going to take you a bit of time during your meeting. It's typically best to build your polls in advance as demonstrated. Now let's take a look at a few more advanced in-meeting features. As long as focus mode is turned on in your settings, you can click the More icon and click Start Focus Mode to activate it during your HD meeting. In focus mode, only the hosts and co-hosts can see the participants' videos or pictures, and the participants can only see your video, the shared content, and videos of any spotlighted participants. This function cuts down on distractions and calls attention to the content you are sharing. Once you click Start, your participants will be notified that the meeting is now in focus mode and that only hosts and co-hosts can see their video. You would click the More button again and click Stop Focus Mode to turn off that feature during your meeting. How to share your screen was covered in the HD Meeting Basics video, but one advanced feature is sharing a whiteboard. This is a great feature that allows your participants to share and collaborate on a virtual whiteboard in real time. To launch it, you would click the green Share Screen button and then choose Whiteboard from the list. Then click Share. Now your participants can use this annotate tool to add text, stamps, or draw things such as arrows, lines, and other shapes. You will be able to see in real time all of the things that your participants are adding to your whiteboard. And as the host, you will be able to briefly see who is typing each of the different annotations. Then, once you are done as the host, you can clear all drawings, just your drawings or your participants' drawings, and you have the ability to save the whiteboard by clicking the Save button, and it will save it as a PNG file. While you are running your HD meeting, you have some security options that are shown when you click the security icon and receive the list. If you want to make sure no one else joins your meeting, you would click the Lock Meeting button. Or if you want to enable your waiting room, you can turn that on here, and then anyone who joins will be put in the waiting room. You can also hide the profile pictures for your participants. The list below allows you to fully control what your participants can and can't do by checking or unchecking these options. Then from the bottom, you can remove a participant completely from the meeting. And lastly, if you click Suspend Participant Activities, you can turn everyone's videos and audio off. You can stop all screen sharing and automatically lock the meeting. Lastly, if closed captioning is turned on in your advanced settings, you can utilize it by clicking the closed caption icon. You will then from here need to decide if you or a participant is going to type the closed captioning. You would click Assign a participant to type and then choose a participant from your list, or click I will type. This box would then appear for the person who is responsible for typing what is directly said into HD Meeting. As that person types and clicks enter, the messages will be moved to the top of the box and they can continue typing in the bottom box. The person responsible for typing will have the ability to save the transcript by clicking here. If you want your attendees to pre-register for an upcoming meeting, you would click this Registration Required box when you are pre-scheduling your meeting. Then you would fill in all of the other pertinent information for your meeting and then click the Save button. You would then be brought to this screen where you can see that you are provided a registration link that your attendees will need to register for your meeting. If you click Copy Invitation, this pop-up will contain the information for your meeting, and if you click Copy Meeting Invitation, you can then paste that information into an email or calendar invite. Then, at the bottom of this screen, there are some options that you can customize. On the Registration tab, you can come over to the right and click the Edit button. This is where you can dictate how you want the registration approvals to be handled, and you can check this box if you are the host and want to receive an email once someone registers. There are further options related to registration at the bottom. If you click on the Questions tab, you can use this list to add questions that your participants will need to answer to successfully register. They'll be asked to provide their first name and email address by default, but you might want to check the box for other information such as last name, organization, or job title, or any other information you might want to gather. Or you can create custom questions for them to answer via this tab. Once you're done with this pop-up, click Save All. You can use these other tabs to manage your email settings, add branding to your invitation page, or you can create polls and quizzes in advance for this particular meeting. Finally, let's take a look at the reports available to you for HD Meeting. From the web version, we would click the Reports option on the left. You can see here that there are usage reports and meeting reports. If you click the Usage option, you will be provided a list of your previous HD meetings based on the time frame selected. You can expand that back to 1 month if needed. Basic information will be shown here pertaining to each meeting, and you can export a list of your meetings by clicking the Export as CSV File button. If you want a detailed report that will show you who attended each meeting, you would come to the final column and click on the number of participants for that particular meeting. You will receive this pop-up where you can choose if you want to export the meeting data as well. And as we see here, we have duplicate participants. We can check the box to show unique users to remove those duplicates. Then, when you click Export, a CSV file will be created that contains detailed information on your meeting participants. Meeting reports will provide you registration reports as well as poll reports. If you have created a meeting that requires registration, make sure the time range is correct to ensure that it's showing in your list. We can see here, one meeting was scheduled for registration. If we come over and click the Generate button, you would then choose which registrant type you want included. Then you could click Continue. The page will then flip to the Report Queue tab, and once it's ready, your report will be showing in this list. You can then click this Download button, and once your report is ready, you can open it up, and if the data isn't showing correctly, you could expand your columns, and it will show you all of the information related to who has registered for your meeting. If we go back to the Meeting Report tab, we can also change from the Registration Report to a Poll Report. Then make sure that your dates are correct and click the Search button. Then you will see your list of poll reports, and you would click the Generate button, just like we previously saw, to download the results of that particular poll. That concludes the OfficeSuite HD Meeting Advanced Deep Dive video.